Myanmar's ruling junta is losing control over vast tracts of territory, with ethnic armed groups expanding and consolidating regions under their control, according to reports from the Special Advisory Council for Myanmar.
The rise of anti-coup forces has left the junta without effective control of the country, posing the most significant challenge to the military in decades. Author and pro-democracy activist Ma Thida was imprisoned by the military junta in Myanmar for daring to oppose the regime. Her latest book, Amaze, Myanmar's Struggle for Democracy, explores what's happened in Myanmar since the 2021 military coup. And we're delighted to be joined by her now from Brisbane. Welcome to the program, Ma Thida.
Thank you so much.
Your book is called Amaze, and it seeks to draw attention to some of the fundamental issues that have hampered Myanmar's transition to democracy for decades. What is it that you wish the international community knew about why that breakdown keeps occurring?
Well, right now, a lot of people just thought it was the U-turn from the already being in democracy after the coup, but my argument is the way we have been gone through on the road to democracy has been lost during this, especially during this past decades. It was like a maze already, you know. That's why we need to getting down all of the walls of this maze to get back to the road to democracy, because we never ever have a full democracy during these decades of the quasi-civilian, quasi-military administrations. For that reason, I really want to write this book and want to explain what are the boundaries, what are the walls of this maze, and we can easily get lost if we still find the exit to the maze. Indeed, what we do need to do is to tearing down all the walls of the maze to get back to the democracy.
How is it that Aung San Suu Kyi had such a spectacular fall from grace after enjoying such huge popularity, not just domestically in Myanmar, but also overseas, to then find herself at the centre of criticism about the treatment of Rohingya minorities in Myanmar?
Indeed, it is mainly because of the black magic by the military. It was very planned. That's why I decided to write this book, Amaze, because this can explain more or less a little bit detail about what happened in 2012, what happened in 2017. So, of course, she was a bit of silence, and I myself criticized her. But the real challenge is beyond our imagination. So for her, it's a limited control over practicing the power, indeed, especially for the military decisions and operation. Whatever happened in Rakhine State was a little bit out of her control.
But she did also go to the International Criminal Court of Justice, the International Court of Justice,
yes,
and defend the military, which is now suffering this major setback.
I don't think this can be interpreted like this, because most of the people what understood in Burma is she defended not for the military but for the country, because the ICJ accusation is mainly against the country, not against military of the country. So for that reason, the understanding of her appearance at the ICJ court was pretty much different outside and inside. For that reason, even from the military side, they thought her appearance at the court making them more shameful, something like that. They have a very big fear about the potential, not just at the ICJ, but also in the ICC. That was also one of the reasons for the attempted coup by this commander-in-chief. He has so much concern about he might be put in ICC later after that. So he and the army was thinking that her appearance at the court might disclose all the hidden wrongdoings of them later after the trial has been proceeded, something like that. So that was pretty much different understanding in this case.
So there's quite a serious existential problem right now for the military in Myanmar because its numbers are significantly depleted. You've got young people leaving the major cities, joining resistance movements. What is that doing for morale in the military and their capacity to maintain control over the country?
Indeed, the morality of the whole military right now has been down very, very badly. The highest number of defections in the history is going on, and highest number of the death casualties during the action is pretty much higher than ever. So I think the family members of the military personnel are now having so much concern. For that reason, there are so many incidents of the mass surrender by the military headquarters and some other battalions. That is going on. That's why they cannot control on the ground. For that reason, they use mainly airstrikes to indiscriminately punish not just the defense forces, but also the civilians.
I'll just ask you one more brief question because I know this situation has played out in Ukraine where communications are critical to the progress of a conflict between, in this case, Myanmar, the resistance fighters and the military. There's a strong reliance on Starlink satellite services. Now, how important is that to the continuing resistance, that people who are part of that resistance have access to satellite communications in circumstances where other forms of communication are poor to nil?
That's true. So for the military dictatorship, it's not just the physical dictatorship, it's also the digital tyranny. As soon as they got the power, they changed the cybersecurity law, they make a lot of the regulations and the new ad hoc arbitrary rules and regulations, especially on the digital tyranny. So for that reason, there are internet shutdowns, they are deliberately doing the slow speeds on the internet. Then the oppositions and the resistance forces are struggling to pass the information, even among themselves. That's why the internet access through the Starlink has been very, very important for a lot of the resistance forces, not just for them, but also for the civilians. You know, in these days, the key supporters for the resistance is the diaspora Myanmar, and the way we communicate each other, the diaspora Myanmar and the people in Myanmar, is through the internet. That's why the role of the digital access is very, very important.
Ma Thida, it's so good to have you on the program this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time from Brisbane. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.